record.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Julie.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Julia.
So, welcome. I just wanted to let you know that we are recording this for educational and promotional purposes. So we'll go, and then when you go into the breakout rooms, any room that you're in with Edwin will be recorded. So just FYI. And so we'd like to do a round of short check-ins, take up to 30 seconds, and around the questions of any questions, comments, or etc. from the last session. How was the empathy buddy call? Or any short report from facilitating an empathy circle this last week. And I'll just kind of go around on my screen and call on people. You know, you can comment on one or, you know, any of them. Just a short check-in. So I know B is under the weather. B, are you okay to do a short check-in?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. So short check-in, questions, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I'm a little under the weather right now, which is why my camera's off. So sorry about that, guys, but I promise I am here. I'm listening, I'm engaged, I'm just invisible. I was out last week. I wasn't here, so I don't really have any comments on the last session. The empathy buddy call, I didn't have a chance to set one up this week. But I did manage to sort of secretly pull a little bit of like empathetic listening in an argument I had with my brother. And like he was getting mad and I was getting mad. So I just pulled back and started like reflecting back to him. And it really like calmed both of us down. So I'd say that went well.
Good, good. With family, that's actually quite a feather in your cap if you can do it with family.
Thank you. Yeah,
Sure.
it definitely was different with family than with like strangers or acquaintances or anything. But yeah, I think it worked out.
Great, great. That's great to hear. Lala, can you do your check?
Sure. So I had an empathy buddy call with Dominic, and it was really nice. I got to know him a little bit better. So we didn't end up doing an empathy circle practice. We just really chatted. So that was really helpful. And it was really nice to get to know another trainee. And I did get to practice active listening skills this week. So it was very nice, you know, in a similar to what B was experiencing in an argument with another person. I was able to focus on hearing them and making sure that they are heard versus picking out parts of their argument so that I can frame my own argument. So it was more constructive. It turned into a constructive conversation versus a heated argument. So that was really helpful for me personally, that I was able to practice what I've learned.
Great. Thank you, Lala. Timothy?
Yeah, I was really happy with a very small empathy circle that I host for my neighbors once a week, every Thursday. And we just had one person show up who we set the topic around neighborhood parking. And there's been some conflicts around that. And one of my neighbors is the most upset. So he showed up, and it was myself, my partner, and him. And his first time in an empathy circle. And I just decided not to do any really super strong structure, just a really super brief introduction, and then have him speak first for a little longer than 5 minutes. And he kind of started asking about us, and I said, oh, wait, I really want to understand you. I want to make sure. And so I just kept reflecting until he was able to say, I thank you. I feel fully heard, you know. And it was like a nice success because I saw him calm down from the empathy, and then be able to hear a little bit about where we were coming from around this conflict. And his listening was wonderful. So we just had a great success of connection there, even with a very brief introduction. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Thank you, Timothy. Justine.
Hi. I had a call with Sunil, and it was good. We did a 30 minutes empathy circle, 15 minutes each. And yeah, he asked a question about the fact of kind of interrupting every time what you are saying when you are the person talking. So we talked a bit about this, and I thought I like this interrupting because it makes me kind of understand, like cut a bit what I want to express, and also for listening. So yeah, but we were talking a bit about like the structure of this and how we could try different ways. And then I did one with my mother where I listened to her for 30 minutes and it was good. I think it was a bit maybe the first time for her, so it was a bit strange, I think, or take time to understand the practice kind of. But it was nice to have this setting with someone that I know really well, like that we used to communicate in a certain way, and then suddenly we do different. So it was good.
Good. Thank you, Justine. Lisa.
Yeah, I was able to do meet with the Empathy Circle on Friday, but then also do an Empathy Circle with my in-laws, and then I meet with my buddy call. And so the buddy call, it was good. We just kind of talked about our experiences and where we were coming from, and so that was nice to meet someone else in the group. And then the family call actually went really well as far as it being my first call and really feeling like I wasn't truly 100% prepared. We didn't necessarily go deep into anything because it was just an hour, but it was kind of nice to do some active listening within the family.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. I know we talked about that yesterday. And the fact that you're hearing in one piece bodes well. Julia.
Yeah, so actually last time I wasn't in the session, so I don't have any comments on that. And actually this week I didn't have like chance to practice. Actually, I asked for like my friends to have an empathy circle, but they didn't have time for me with work and anything. And another person that seemed very interested, let's say, to have like on one-on-one empathy calls, but didn't get back to me at least this week. So I will have to insist, or maybe I'm lucky next time.
Thank you, Julia. Good to see you here. Francesca.
Hi, I'm just to say I'm feeling kind of tired today, so I might look like I'm relaxing as I'm with you all at points. Well, I had like an empathy, not a circle, but I did empathy practice with a peer support person, and it was really interesting. It was kind of so this person had like ADD kind of things happening. So it was really interesting to try to get her to sort of stay with me and stay present. So, but it was fun. Like it was a lot of fun. We ended up, really, it was kind of playful. It ended up being kind of playful. I feel like I'm missing something about a buddy. I haven't been assigned a buddy, and it sounds like people have empathy circle buddies. I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, you should have received an email with someone that you were matched up with. I'll double check and see if somehow you didn't get on the list or something.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Francesca. Dustin.
Hello. I did not have any empathy buddy circle, or I ended like one-on-ones with anyone other than Graham, but I have those every day, so I don't really count those as having an empathy buddy circle with anybody. It's kind of just, we have our time that we talk. Aside from that, it's really been a busy week for me, so I haven't participated in really a whole lot of empathy circles. I just got a new job. Well, not a new job yet. Not a new job. Yeah, interview.
All right,
Yes,
all right.
be excited. Yeah, so there's, I'm really busy just trying to get work right now. So that's what's going on in my world. So thanks.
Thanks, Dustin.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
So I did not have an empathy circle either, but I have been trying to be more, like I've had a few more social interactions in this past week than I usually do, like in person. So I've been trying to listen better, even if I'm not necessarily like reflecting people. I just sometimes feel like I talk just to talk. So I've been trying to just like listen to people, and I had a really nice conversation with a friend who I hadn't seen for a while yesterday. But it was more like I just was listening to him talk about his life, without like, I don't know. It was just nice to be able to listen to him and not feel like it had to be back and forth and back and forth. So I've been trying to be more intentional about letting people talk to me and not having to also share about myself. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Elizabeth. And Harini.
Hi, I actually didn't get to connect with my empathy buddy, and I didn't get a chance to do an empathy circle either. It's been a crazy week. I mean, all my weeks are crazy with a part-time job and baby, but I'm hoping to schedule an empathy circle much earlier for the following week so that I'll be able to squeeze in that before the next session. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Harini. Edwin.
Yeah, I did several empathy circles. Monday, we're forming another cohort. We're starting next week with a cohort for Extinction Rebellion, and that's coming along. We've got our Wednesday cohort going. It's moving along, and did some other circles. And one, I did one sort of an emergency empathy buddy call. There's someone who's tried to facilitate an empathy circle sort of mediation, and he was doing pre-circles. So which is you just listen to each person individually, and the one person he listened to just laid into him, so the facilitator sort of lost it. He just like started yelling back and turned into a little bit of a disaster. So he said, help, I need an emergency empathy buddy call. So I just kind of listened to him for, half an hour to kind of help him get settled. And so hopefully, so yeah, with really difficult facilitation, sometimes it's good that if you're not one of the participants in the conflict, if you're trying to mediate. So I think that was his lesson there. He thought he could handle it. So that was me, Bill. Thanks.
Sure. And I had, my empathy buddy was Dustin. We didn't connect, but we had a small empathy circle yesterday. So I felt we sort of had a buddy call and stuff, and we checked in. So good to hear that you got an interview. And I've also been starting an empathy circle in schools on Thursdays, and that actually has been very exciting for me. So I'll continue to do that. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here and, taking another step towards a culture of empathy. Thanks. The next thing we'll do is feedback, and I'm going to turn it over to Timothy to address some of the feedback we got. Thanks, Timothy.
Thank you so much, Bill. At the end of each of our sessions, Edwin will post and also send a link to a feedback form. In these trainings, we're learning as we go. We want to hear your feedback, how it's going, how you might want to grow these trainings, but also what are your questions and concerns for leading empathy circles. And so part of that feedback form is where you get to write down some of your pressing questions and concerns. And right now, for the next, 10 minutes at the most, we will, I'll be answering some of those questions from the last form. In addition, please keep in mind, keep a list of your questions. This is a place to have these questions heard and addressed for sure. And then also there's an ongoing every other Friday Luz Wire leads a meeting for Empathy Circle facilitators. And Edwin, if you have a link to that or maybe some information about that, we can put that in the chat too. That's a wonderful place for ongoing growth and support. But anyway, so I've got some questions I'd love to respond to now. Just to kind of get your own mental and emotional curiosities moving for ongoing learning and questions. So from our last form, one person said, how do I bring an atmosphere where people feel secure, where people feel held and free to be themselves? How to create and bring this atmosphere? And so first of all, I love that question. That's an intention of the Empathy Circle, where people can speak exactly what's real for them, be authentic and honest. And so being held and secure helps with that sense of emotional safety. Well, from my perspective, with the Empathy Circle process in particular, I would recommend clearly explaining the Empathy Circle process itself and really ensure that people agree to follow it at the beginning, right at the beginning. So that when we have that really clear process, people ask questions, the process and the steps are explained so clearly, and people consciously agree to it, that creates a lot of safety. Because in this model, Edwin said, we strip it down to the basics of empathy. This is kind of like an opening basic practice. And so we have a little more structure. When we trust the structure, people feel a little more safe. We have time limits, we have moments of reflection, and we move forward. So that's one thing to create that sense of being held and secure, is having that structure and strong agreements to it. Also, as a facilitator, make sure that you hold the group to the Empathy Circle process. That means that intervening early, speaking up if there's any divergence or distraction, as soon as that happens, if somebody speaks out of turn, even if it's for some help or kindness, just to do a quick timeout, 1 second, we want to make sure that only the speaker is speaking right now, something like that. So intervening early. And finally, creating an atmosphere where people feel held and free to express themselves. I would encourage warmth. Model what you would like to see. Express your warmth and gratitude and welcome for everybody. As a facilitator, you're setting the tone and the emotional flavor of the experience. So that'd be my first question and my first thoughts around that. I'd like to keep going unless there's any other additions to that from the trainers. No? Okay. Yeah, thank you, Bill. Okay, good. The next question was, how can this be applied to business or organizational meetings for creativity and innovation? I love that question. So one of my answer for that would be, use the same process in terms of the Empathy Circle process, stick exactly to the same process, and choose a really good question that will stimulate creativity and innovation. For example, you have a team together and folks are stuck in their thinking. Well, you say, okay, here's our challenge. Here's what we want to see. You know, we want to see this happen and that. That's what we want, right? What are some out-of-the-box ideas that you have for solutions? We'll start the Empathy Circle. Each of you has 5 minutes. You'll choose a listener, and we'll go from there. What are some out-of-the-box ideas? That's just one question, but I would frame a really good question to stimulate a great conversation. Also, working in an organization to get an Empathy Circle going, I would say go directly to the decision makers, the people in the organization that have power to make decisions, to make things happen. And I would share an understanding of Empathy Circles with them or that person and see if they can understand how it might help. If we can get a mutual understanding, then I would ask the leaders to go through it first, to try an Empathy Circle themselves, and with a trained facilitator, right? And that's happening in my big organization in San Francisco. There's training on anti-bias and inclusion training, and all the leaders went through it first, and they were able to say, yes, let's everybody try this out. Finally, to do a little bit of Empathy Circle, you can find time within the workflows in the team meetings that already exist in the organization. Maybe there's already time for meetings and brainstorming, and then you can bring that there. So those are a couple initial thoughts on that. We've got a couple other questions. We're doing good for time. I'd like to continue. Any other things to add to that? No? Okay, great.
Just really quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Edwin.
I just add that if you're familiar with the human-centered design community, it starts with designing any product, service, system that you need to start with empathy, to be able to empathize with the needs of the people you're designing for. So there's a whole framework with human-centered design about using empathy as a gateway for creativity and innovation. So if you look up design thinking, human-centered design, there's all kinds of tools that you can build on top of the empathy circle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I think Timothy's and Edwin's suggestions were excellent. And I would just add on is that sometimes time is a factor. So you can break down the circle and start with reflective listening. And when people feel heard, that will sometimes, get the buy-in that you need. Thanks. That's it, Timothy.
Thank you so much, Bill and Edwin. Okay, the next question. If you have someone in the circle who cannot really listen, or they have difficulties expressing themselves in a way to be understood, how do you let that person know? Oh my gosh, how do you do that, right? I imagine without insulting or, shaming them or blaming them or setting up a painful interaction. That's a good question. I appreciate it. My initial answer for that would be this. I would continue to support listeners to express their empathic reflections, to keep trying to understand somebody. If they're speaking in a way that's hard to understand, I would keep encouraging the listener to keep trying to understand, make a guess, keep reflecting, keep trying. We just basically, once again, coming back to the process. I want to empower listeners to support everybody, even if they're having a hard time understanding, keep guessing. So I would encourage the process back and forth to continue. Also, I would then, if it became very stuck, I would then offer to help with listening, with maybe another reflection, and kind of step in and just help a little bit and model what it might look like. And I also might help with the expression. If someone's having a hard time listening and it's still stuck, I would say, okay, so speaker, if I said it this way, would this make sense to your listener? So I would support either side if folks are open to it. If they're not and they want to keep trying, I would feel happy about that. Within the 5 minutes, then we'd say, okay, we're done with our 5 minutes. Well, you get to come back on the next round to continue and try again. So those are my initial thoughts. I actually would not tell somebody, you're not doing this right. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let somebody know. I would keep encouraging the process and supporting people. So that's my initial thought on that. Edwin, Bill, others? Thoughts on that one? Okay, great. And then the last question here I want to respond to is, I imagine facing intense emotions or energies of others. And I imagine I won't be able to hold space for this. I won't be able to handle it. How might we handle such situations when swearing or anger or visceral pain comes up, right? Deep sadness, whatever, a strong emotion. That could be scary for some folks. So my initial response to that would be this. Remember to focus very strongly on the empathy circle process and keep advocating strongly for that. With strong emotions, it helps to have a strong structure and strong agreements so that the structure holds the strong flow. Right? If you have a strong flow of water, you need strong walls to keep it going in its own direction. So I would very early, if something was getting strong, that's fine as long as it's within the 5 minutes and somebody has a chance to respond. And so sometimes to express strong feelings and be heard for it is such a wonderful gift for folks who have not been able to be heard despite their strong feelings. So that's actually even some of the most meaningful times that I've had in an empathy circle, and somebody got to share strong emotions. So keep the structure strong. Also, I would learn and practice self-empathy. When I feel scared, someone's going off and swearing and targeting somebody, oh my God, I'm really scared. But I know we're in the structure. And it's time for me to breathe and put my hand on my chest or put my chin to my chest and look down and say, Timothy, it's really scary and overwhelming right now. And look around. Are people okay? All right. Are you okay? You just really want some stability. You don't want people to hurt so much. I just talk to myself a little bit and it calms myself down. Self-empathy is another tool. And finally, if I get so overwhelmed that I'm kind of sort of frozen, you can always ask the group for a little support. So I'm having a hard time reflecting that, but let's say, who would like to help this person try with a reflection? Because we want to, so sometimes the group can help with that. But I like self-empathy and sticking to the structure. So that's about the time we have for these particular questions and answers. But I wanted to encourage you, each of you, to write down and track your questions and concerns so you can bring that up with the trainers, with your peers. Remember, a good question takes us to the answers. So I really value your strong questions. We only have about probably 30 more seconds right now before we transition. So maybe, Francesca, if you don't mind holding it, maybe in the small group we can talk. We can go from there. So so thank you for listening. Right now, I just want to go ahead and hand it over to Lala to describe and kind of bring us into the next phase of our training today, which would be the small groups.
Great. So thank you, Timothy. For the next part, we are going to go into the breakout rooms so that each of us will get time to practice how to facilitate a mini empathy circle and to better illustrate how to facilitate the mini empathy circle for the first time. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to share with you. Can everyone see the PowerPoint slide that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so once we enter the breakout room, each of the participants today will get a chance to practice how to facilitate the mini empathy circle, and this is how you will be doing it. First, you're going to give instructions on how to take part in an empathy circle. So about 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, explain how to participate. And then you get some time to receive feedback from other participants as well as the trainer in the room on, how you did, basically giving out the instructions. And then you move on to actually facilitating the empathy circle. The topic for today is what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator, or whatever is alive for you. And you will actually be the first listener. So whoever is taking on the practice facilitator role, you're also going to be the first listener to help to demonstrate, and help others understand how to be that active listener. And then at the end of your facilitation portion, you will also receive feedback from other participants as well as the trainer in the room on how you did overall facilitating the empathy circle. Now, so you get to do it, and then another participant in your group will get to do it. So once everyone practice how to facilitate the empathy circle, the group will also debrief for 5 to 10 minutes before you come back to the main meeting room. So I'm going to leave this up for another 15 seconds or so you can read over. Does anyone have any questions? And Timothy, if I remember correctly, the trainers will also be supporting the facilitators in the in the breakout rooms, right? If they have any question, they're not really sure what to do, the trainers will be there to kind of.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. All right, questions from anyone? Sounds like we're ready to get started.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing. Okay.
So I created the rooms. We have 3 rooms. Let me see. The first one, B, will be the trainee facilitator, and Bill will be support. Room 2, Timothy, it'll be all you. There's Dominic, who's also a trainee. Apologize he couldn't be here. His aunt had just passed away, and he was just didn't feel like he could come today, so he apologized for that. So hopefully he will be okay and be able to join us next week. So Timothy, you'll do that room number 2, and you have 3 participants. And then room number 3 is Lala facilitating that, and I'll be supporting you in that room. And then we have an hour and a half, so each person, and then I think we're ready to go. See you there. And I'll give a 10-minute warning before the room closes before we come back to debrief. So we're in this room, Lala, and there's just 2 participants. So we'll actually have a lot more time for each participant since.
Okay. Hi, Harini. Nice to see you again. And hi, Dustin. Nice to meet you for the first time. All right, so I will get started then. I'm going to bring up the how to basic empathy circle PDF guide. That's helpful for me before I start facilitating. I can never really fully remember the instructions. Okay, all right, welcome everyone. Today we are going to do an empathy circle, and I'm going to briefly explain how to participate. So typically
Lala?
Yep.
You're actually sort of facilitating Harini and Dustin. So you're going to be leading them in it. So you don't have to give it. You're sort of like you're facilitating this group, and they're so you would just like call on either of them to give the presentation and sort of facilitate this part of it.
Got it. I forgot that I was training for a second. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm here to support you. I'm just like a support person. And also because there's only 2 participants, you can go for like 40 minutes or so, awesome. Right, for each person.
Okay. All right. So Harini and Dustin, which one of you would like to volunteer to be the first facilitator, practice facilitator, to run the mini empathy circle? I see your hand creeping up. Okay, Dustin. Great. So you're going to be the facilitator. And do you still want the PowerPoint presentation, kind of like the instruction, or you feel comfortable just getting started? You're on mute.
I'm good to go. I've done this before.
Oh, great.
Clearly with holding my mute down, but yeah, I've done this before. I actually just want to grab a pen here so I can write my little cue here, and then
okay.
We'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, and Edwin's here, so I'm not going to get away with anything. All right, here we go. So don't judge me too much, Edwin. I'm trying here. So here we go. Time, and then remember to pause. All right. So welcome to the Empathy Circle. What we're going to do here is why an empathy circle in the first place? And that has to do with in this world today, we don't have enough empathy, and we don't have enough skills at listening. And I think that this is really good practice for both of those. And I think this is, for me, I joined the Empathy Circle personally because this was a really good social dynamic part of my life, because with the lockdowns and everything, there's not enough social interaction in my life, and I felt like this was a really good place to gain some of that while I'm going to school and going to work. So this is good and healthy for me, and I think it's good and healthy for everyone else. So the empathy circles, the way they work is everybody gets a chance to share. It starts with the facilitator can either choose to go first, or you can choose somebody. In my case, I like to choose somebody, not choose somebody. I like to let the group decide whomever wants to go first. So if you decide to go first, you're going to share for about 5 minutes and 3 minutes. Thank you, Edward. You're going to share for about 3 minutes, and during this time, you're going to share for 3 minutes, and you're going to share about 40 40 words or just a good entire thought so that somebody else can reflect back what you've said. You're going to choose a listener, and that listener is going to reflect back what you've said. So if you decide to speak first, you choose a listener, speak for about 40 seconds, and then after that, the listener will reflect back what you've said. And then you're going to have your turn to speak again. So you speak until your 3 minutes runs out, and then the listener is now the speaker. So that's the way the empathy circle works, and then we kind of go around the circle that way. So I'm gonna now leave the floor open to anybody who wants to go first. Don't all jump at once.
I can go first.
So we're going to do a debrief here, though. This was okay. You just did the presentation. Before we go into the circle, just a quick debrief.
No, don't be shy. Don't be shy, neither, Edwin.
Okay, let's go into the debrief. Harini, I'm going to call on you if you don't mind. Do you have any feedback? Do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any comments. And I liked how he introduced himself, and he first said why he joined Empathy Circle, and that kind of made it comfortable. I think it makes it comfortable for the participants. I like that, and I thought, oh, I should do that too. That was good, and maybe. I'm just thinking now, so maybe he could say a few more things about how to do the active listening. What exactly do they mean when they say reflecting back? So maybe that would be more helpful. So yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful too. Edwin, what about you? Do you have any feedback, any comments?
Yeah, doing the why, I really appreciated the why. It's like, oh, this is why this is important. Most people don't give that, and I've been thinking about that too, that it's good for the facilitator to explain, the underlying purpose. So that kind of really landed. There were a few more sort of details. There is that one page how-to that if you just read through that, that's more the, you get all the checkpoints. I think there was a little bit of that could have been sort of added for a little bit of detail, but a lot of times it just kind of gets worked out in the process itself, just through experience. People just learn by doing. So yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I would say I agree with both Harini and Edwin on really bringing that, talking about the purpose of this, why the facilitator wants to run the empathy circle is really helpful, because it really helps to set a very positive tone for the empathy circle itself and what's to come. And I think it'll also be helpful to kind of give a tip on, again, like what Harini said, what does it mean to reflect and use active listening skills, but also to mention that if the speaker feels that he or she is fully heard, they can just say that. They don't necessarily need to take up the 3 minutes. Is that correct, Edwin? It's either up to 3 minutes or once the speaker is satisfied with how they express themselves. So that's really it. Okay, so next it's time to, I guess,
now you can facilitate the circle. Yeah,
the empathy circle. So so Dustin, you're resuming the facilitator role, and Harini, do you want to be the first speaker, or do you want me to be the first speaker? Or Edwin, I mean, whoever
you
wants.
Can let Dustin do all that part. I would say just Dustin, you decide how it's going to run.
Yeah, I'm the facilitator here. I'm just sorry.
Out.
Yeah, I am your administrator. Anyways, let's now the floor is open. Anybody would anybody like to be the first to speak?
And set the topic. I just put the topic in.
And the topic is what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? Or you can speak on whatever's alive for you. So it's open. The floor is open to whomever wants to go first. All right, Harini, go ahead.
Okay, so what are my thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? Looking back at the past week, so I couldn't connect with my empathy buddy call and empathy buddy. So I thought of
Harini, who is listening? Who's your listener?
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
My listener, Edwin, will you be my listener?
I'm going to interject here for a second. So for the practicing facilitator, you're actually going to be the first listener to demonstrate how to listen or how to be an active listener.
I have to time it and listen at the same time. Darn. All right, let's try that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Harini, go ahead. Yeah, if you want to start from the top, that would be awesome. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm just looking back at my past week, and I didn't actually get, I couldn't connect with my empathy buddy, and I didn't get a chance to do an empathy circle. But like others mentioned during the intro, I did think about, doing it secretly with a family member. But then I realized I don't want to. I didn't want to give space to any of my family members because I felt like I've been doing it often for a long time, and I have been the one who has been giving space most of the time.
So you're saying that you weren't able to get a hold of your empathy buddy basically, but you were thinking about doing it with your family anyway, just having your own empathy kind of circle. But you've been doing this already, and you feel like nobody's really taking up the mantle in the family to try and do it as well, and you're kind of frustrated with this.
Yeah, and when I've been doing it, not the empathy circle, but just giving space and being the one who listens, who listens first, in that way. So I did not do that, and I didn't get to do my empathy circle. And on the same note, it was my question that in the introduction again, how to deal with intense emotions or something energies that come up during a circle. So I think that relates to how I've been feeling. The question relates to how I've been feeling generally.
So yeah, I heard you say that basically you repeated again that you didn't get a chance to do your empathy circle, but you heard what Edwin was saying, and this was about the energy or feelings that are coming up within an empathy circle and kind of like how to deal with that, and that's what I heard. So yeah.
But I'm just thinking now, anyway, that's why we are here. We are here to practice that. We are here to give that space and empathy to ourselves and also to others. Like Timothy mentioned, I guess the structure of the time and the support that we have here, I think that will really help with dealing with intense emotions.
So I heard you say that it's the structure of the empathy circle that really helps kind of contain the emotions and contain it contains something going awry within the circle, essentially. Yeah.
And I guess that's it. I really don't have anything more to say right now.
All right. So that's, you've, good. So it's, you feel fully heard?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
All right. I guess I'm the speaker now. So I guess, Lala, will you be my listener?
Very happy to.
Excellent. All right. So this is, so I'm just going to speak on what's alive for me right now. Make sure I start my clock because I'm the facilitator. I'm going to speak on what's alive for me right now. I am like in the process. I just finished school. Like I upgraded all my courses to like grade 12 university, so I can go to the university anytime I want. And I did that, and I feel pretty good because I just finished that like 2 or 3 days ago. And then I also went to go look for a job and I was super sweating it that I wasn't going to find anything. And so far I've got an interview on Monday. So I'm super happy about that.
So you are very happy because you just finished school a couple days ago, and you were also you're going on to your first interview on Monday, and you were initially worried that you weren't going to find anything, but you're very happy that there is an interview on the way.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I also I've recently been practicing Mandarin every day, actually. So I'm kind of, yeah, I'm wanting to practice that again, I guess. Like I kind of like put it aside for a couple of weeks. And like, this is kind of like something that I'm probably going to try maybe again sometime soon. So that's a relief for certain reasons for me. Aside from that, like I've also kind of like my network, my social network feels like it's kind of opening up again for me. And I feel really good about that. So the world is, sometimes the world isn't as cold and as dark as you might think it is.
So you're feeling very positive about the opportunity to return to learning Mandarin after setting it aside for a few months, and you're pretty excited about resuming your learning. You're also, you're noticing that you've been expanding your social network, and that's making you feel alive and positive, and it's just giving you a very positive outlook.
Yep. So that's, yep, exactly. So this is, yeah, this is once again, it's like, it's a day by day process for me. And I've learned this. It's kind of like, I know where to kind of like spend quality time, and I know where not to spend my time, like quality, where not to spend time these days. And I feel like I'm really kind of moving forward in my life. And that's kind of all I want to say for now. So that's it.
So you, what you're doing right now is it's a day-to-day process, and each day you're noticing how you're spending your time, where you want to spend your time, and where you don't necessarily want to spend your time because it doesn't make sense for you. So you are managing your time differently and with more intention, and you feel good about that.
Yep, absolutely. So that's it for now. And yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening.
Okay, awesome. Set the topic. I don't have a lot of thoughts or concerns about being the Empathy Circle Facilitator, so I can't really speak to that. I'll focus on what is a life for me. What is a life for me? Also struggling with what's a life for me.
You're struggling with finding the topic to talk about. The facilitation isn't kind of alive, and even just trying to think of what to really talk about.
Well, so I I feel quite happy that this year I've learned to confront any internal struggles that I have by acting on them, just simply doing things. And I've found that to be very effective.
So you've been finding that you've been trying to confront any issues that come up with you and just really address them right away. And you find that that's effective, just addressing it right away.
Absolutely. So if I feel stressed or if I'm experiencing negative emotions, I try to look internally for what's causing that, you know, the issue, and not just the symptoms. So really look at the source of my frustration or agony or stress, and then see what options I have so I can address them.
So you're really trying to address issues that come up like stress or frustration, really look at it and see what's the source of this, and then try to address that source instead of just dealing with the symptoms.
In that process, I found, you know, sometimes the issue, the root cause of my negative emotions, there are parts of it I have the power to address it. I have the power to make a positive change. But parts of it, it's outside of the scope of my control. But that, in identifying the parts that are outside of my control, that's actually helped me to come to terms with my negative emotions, because I know it's not me. It's either someone else or it's circumstantial.
So when you come up with these issues, you first look at them. Is it something that's within my control that I can do something about, or is it outside of my control? And just having that clarity kind of helps. It just helps you to have that clarity.
Clarity is a great word. Thank you for thank you for using that vocabulary, because that's exactly what I was trying to explain. Yeah, and it's really helped me a lot so that I can stay focused on the things that I want to do, the things that I can do to make an impact. And it's helped me to, I guess, not waste energy on things that won't change no matter how hard I try. So yeah, it's helped me to, I think that mentality has empowered me in a way.
Yeah, so thinking in these terms has empowered you, that instead of maybe getting stuck, you just have a sense of empowerment, looking at what you can change and what you can't, and having that clarity.
Yes, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sunil, can I speak to you?
Yes, I'm ready to hear you.
Okay. I wanted to, Harini had talked about strong emotions. If strong emotions come up in the empathy circle, you know, how do you navigate those? So I thought I would talk about that.
Is it to me?
Can you just reflect back what I'm saying? What did you hear me say?
You were just interested in Harini's talk, and you were especially dragged by the talk, Harini's expression of strong emotions and those feelings.
Yeah. So if somebody is very angry in the group, if they speak to someone and they get reflected, like, oh, I hear you're very angry, you know, you just get that reflection, that actually calms people down if they feel heard. So the feeling heard actually helps sort of regulate those feelings.
When there is a high temper or strong feelings in the group, and if someone expresses that one, or like if someone listens to the strong feelings and says that, oh, you are feeling this thing, or he is feeling that thing, in that way, like if someone gets the feeling that he is being heard, then communication would be more easier and the things would be solved.
Yeah, if it's anger, it'll calm the anger down.
Yeah, you said that.
Can you reflect back that part?
If something is burning, or like something is so hot, and you see it, you can say that you are feeling hot, then it starts cooling down.
Yeah, and if it's grief, like someone crying and in deep grief, and you reflect back, I hear you're feeling some grief, or you're sensing grief, and that kind of helps the person too, because they feel a sense of connection. They don't feel alone, and that helps. That helps that emotion. That helps with grief.
Yeah, if someone is very sad, or someone is having departure of someone, and if we see that with the guy or someone next to us, that, oh, you're feeling great, you're sad, then they feel connected with us. And
yeah, I feel fully heard. And you did come a little late, so maybe you don't know quite what's happening here, but yeah.
Yeah, it was our electricity gate in Nepal, and yeah, Harini, do you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you ask me to be your listener?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
As I was late because of our casual problem, I don't know if it is there in India or in the part of India, that we get the settings when electricity doesn't come, and will not be the part of such programs.
I'm sorry, I'm actually having difficulty hearing you. Like, I'm not able to hear you. So, could you please repeat that?
I'll turn my video off.
Okay.
So that I may be clear. That may be my internet, I was just happy to see Harini in our group, and what I was feeling is, Harini, like we are from the another part of the world, and electricity keeps going here, and when electricity is not there, and we are totally out of such programs, and many of the time we just miss the chance to attend events.
Sorry, yeah. So you were saying you're so happy to see me here because we are from the same part of the world, and we have similarities, like wherein we have electricity problems, and sometimes we are unable to connect, and there are difficulties because of that.
Yeah, while talking about the life and empathy circles, like we had a body call last time. I had a friend, Dustin. She wasn't quite dressed, but we had nice call for around 30 minutes. And we practiced it very well, and it was a nice experience. And actually, I used to have empathy circle, or like empathy hearing with my wife, and it was really nice having that one. And last time, are you hearing me, Harini? Like, am I clear? Because
Yeah, so you are saying you had a good experience doing your empathy buddy call, and you have the habit of doing empathy circles with your wife, and you really enjoy doing that.
last time, my friend was in hospital, and he called me and said, "Oh, I'm here in your district in a hospital, in an emergency ward. Can you come and see me?" I and my wife were together, and I suddenly told my wife, I have to see a friend in an emergency, so I have to be there. I'm going. And, and she said, it's a COVID situation. He's a friend, I said. And we went there, and let's leave everything. And while in the evening, after coming back to home, I was feeling that she was so possessed about our relation, and that a man should be dedicated so much to a family, then not to a friend, or I cannot even be a human, as kind of those things. And when I hear her in the evening, it was totally different. It changed my mind, you know. Like I just tried, I just kept myself, just kept listening without replying anything, and it totally changed my things. And yeah.
I have to say I'm so sorry. It was not very clear to me, the audio, and I don't have my earphones with me, but I'm gonna try with whatever I heard. So you have your friend, you got a call from your friend who was in the emergency in the hospital, and uh, you when you try to connect with him, meet him. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it clearly. And
Sorry, it must be like.
That was also the time, Dustin, not everybody can see. You can't just hold it up.
Yeah,
You gotta
fair
say
enough.
something. You gotta
Yeah.
say something. So.
All right, I will. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's time. So Sunil, actually,
Yeah.
so Harini, it will be your turn to speak now. So if you want to pick a listener.
uh,
And I'll just say that we probably should do the debrief now because we have a third person, so it's going to constrict the time. So, Lala, if you want.
Yeah, it was about 20 minutes so far for everyone. Everyone got a turn to share. So, yeah, let's do a quick debrief on the empathy, this round of the empathy circle that we just had. So does anyone have any comments, any feedback?
I would maybe ask Dustin first, like, hey, Dustin, how was that for you as the facilitator? You know, start with the facilitator.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna start off with saying that Sunil, this is the first time I've had somebody enter the empathy circle and somebody was having difficulty hearing them, and I guess you just kind of got to let it play out and let them see if they can resolve the problem. And I'm glad that Harini, you gave it a good attempt to listen to Sunil. That as well, you know, I wasn't keeping time as stringently as maybe I should have. Like I did let it go over the 3 minutes a couple times, but it was wrapped up pretty quickly. So I just didn't let it. I like to let people finish their thoughts sometimes. Aside from that, it was the circle was good. I felt confident running it, and I should have said something because yeah, not everybody's got this. Got their screen set to gallery view, so I need to remember that in the future and to stop somebody if they're going way over their time. So yeah, that's it. Anybody have some feedback?
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Lala.
No, I was just going to ask if anyone else has feedback, comments. So Edwin, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just what you were saying. I mean, the circle, everything went fine, except for you had a little bit of a challenge, somebody coming in late, you know, so that's one of the things that's happened sometimes in that case because of electricity issues, which we know is a worldwide issue. And then it is having some kind of an audio signal that the time is up. Because and you already were saying that too. So that was the main thing. Sometimes it's nice if you have a cell phone that it makes a soft little ring or something that lets people know. But otherwise, yeah, was everything worked.
Okay. So, Harini, do you have any thoughts you wanted to share? or Sunil? You're
good.
Okay. Sunil, what about you? Any thoughts on the empathy circle? No, you came in a little bit later, but do you have any feedback, comments?
I'm really enjoying everything, and it is in the middle of my dissertation submission. I have to submit my dissertation by June 1st, and I actually didn't want to miss the session, and so like it's going with tilt and tight. Everything is going good. And yeah, empathy circle is, if we reflect on us, many times it is changing things, like changing things. The story I was about
It's
tell,
more
I
about,
don't think
it's just feedback for Dustin. So Dustin was facilitating, so we just want to give feedback, anything for Dustin as feedback. Do you feel he did a good job? Was there any struggles you had with his facilitation?
I saw him very active in running the session. That's what, like, I can't say much. Thank you.
Okay, that's
That's
great.
really active.
Yeah, I feel it was similar to what you're experiencing, Sunil. I thought Dustin you're very enthusiastic. So it was really energizing to participate in the facilitation, the empathy circle. So thank you for taking on the facilitator role. I don't have any other comments. I think Edwin provided really good feedback. So I agree with him, but other than that, I thought it was a really good session.
Awesome, thanks. All right, so that's it for me, I think. So whoever is next. Choose your
Okay.
victim, I guess.
So the next participant will get to facilitate a mini empathy circle. Sunil or Harini, either of you wants to take a stab at it? Wants to start? Okay, Harini. All right, the floor is yours.
Very good evening to everyone. Welcome to the Empathy Circle. We are here to practice empathy, and I am here because I want to have more space for myself and others in my life, and that's why I am here to do this Empathy Circle. And so how do we practice empathy here? We are going to do this by taking different roles. These roles are speakers, active listener, and silent listeners. So basically these roles gives everyone a chance to fully express and a chance to be fully heard. And the speaker gets about 3 minutes to speak on a given topic. And today's topic is, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? So the speaker talks on this topic or whatever is alive for them in the moment. And the active listener listens to them and reflects back on what they say. So how do they do it? The speaker speaks for a few seconds and then pauses so that the active listener is able to reflect back on what is being said. And when I mean reflect, and when I say reflect back, I mean it is like summarizing or paraphrasing what has been said, or expressing how you have understood what the speaker has said. In any way that's comfortable for you. So that's what the active listener does. And at any point, if the speaker can correct the active listener, and the active listener can always ask the speaker for clarification, or you can ask them to repeat it if something is unclear. And the silent listeners listen to this without actively participating in it, and everyone gets a turn. So the active listener then becomes the speaker, and they choose another person as an active listener, and this goes on. So that is the empathy circle, and I am your facilitator today. And so let me just show you how to actively listen by being a model, and we'll begin. Does anyone want to volunteer to speak first?
I see Sunil raising his hand.
Okay, it's 3 minutes, and always I feel the time to listen and our time to speak becomes very late when we speak in a short frame of time, and it's I felt like in a body call when you used to make fractions of time, it was so hard for us to conclusively get like what actually I'm going to hear, or like what actually I'm hearing, and yeah.
Once again, as I must say, I'm having difficulties listening to what has been shared. I'm gonna try my best. So, so you're sharing your concerns about the time limits and how much you can actually express and share within the given time frame, which is short. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it is right. I feel like it should be actually in reality, if we really want to practice empathy, then it should be in a time bound frame, or like out of time bound frame. That's the question, like in my mind all the time. Till when we should be listening to someone to make him or her very comfortable. That's quite confusing me, you know. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So when when you were saying about time, when you were speaking about time, that's the thing that came in my mind.
So you are wondering how, if in real time, just in normal conversations, in everyday conversations, or something that you face on a daily basis, if you want someone to feel heard, how can you base it on time, and how does it work here? You're just reflecting on how does this time thing play affect the fact of fully expressing and hearing. Am I right?
You feel hard. Do I still have time?
Yeah, you have 1 more minute.
Yeah. Like I really don't get it myself to talk for now. Like these things are like come popping up and going, you know, and it's quite confusing most of the time.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
I think I have to turn the video off. These things like just do come up and just go from the mind, and things are so confusing most of the time. Like, oh, what is right? What is wrong? How should we be going? And when we are modeling, and the modeling process makes like gives more opportunity to explore, and yeah, I feel so vulnerable sometimes.
Okay. I'm not sure if I got everything, but you're expressing how you it is difficult sometimes thinking thinking about how it's going to work, if it's right or if it's wrong. You're relating that with what you have previously said about the time and how the constraint that puts on empathizing. And yeah, is that right? Did I get that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And your time is up. Now, so I'm supposed to be the speaker, right? I was the active listener, so it's my turn to speak now. And Edwin, will you be my listener?
Listening.
Okay, and from what Sunil shared, I was thinking about the same thing actually. So we're sharing here for 5 minutes. While it is it's a good way listening practice. For the 5 minutes, the listener actually gets to listen completely, and that's what they're doing. But in real life, maybe we'd like some exchange. Maybe we would want to keep going, or maybe like we talked earlier, if something intense comes up, maybe we don't want to be stopped. So how does that work? I'm just thinking on what Sunil.
So you're just thinking about building on what Sunil is talking about with the time limits, that it's different from sort of regular conversation that you want to have sort of back and forth, and maybe there's something intense that you want to talk about, and then the time limit comes. So you're just thinking about the structure and the time limits, and it sounds like you have some thoughts about that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how best to make it work. Well, I mean, what is the solution? If you want more time, maybe we could do an empathy circle with like more than 5 minutes or something. Is that the solution to that?
Yeah, so you're wondering if there's a solution. Maybe you can have longer than 5-minute turns. And you're just sitting with the question, how can you address this problem?
Yeah, but if in terms of being heard, I think it works, because you can just stop whenever you want, and the listener has the chance to, reflect back on what you said. So you do have the communication on two sides. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're seeing that, well, when it's your turn to speak, you can speak. And so there is communication, two-way communication. It's not just all one-way communication. There's two ways. So you think that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that arises now is, how does the flow work here? Like in my last empathy circle, it was very good. Everyone resonated with everyone else, and there was a flow. But what if something doesn't resonate with us, and there is no flow in the circle? Like, we speak different topics. I'm sure that's okay, but I'm wondering how does that affects the atmosphere of the circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're really thinking about the atmosphere of the circle, that if there's a sense of a flow, feeling of flow, or if everybody's just talking about different things, there might not be a flow. So you're just wondering about that. Sounds like you would like more of a flow in the circle.
Yeah, I feel fully heard, and that's my time. And
okay.
Now Edwin, get to choose your listener and speak.
I'll speak to Dustin.
You can try.
Yeah, so in terms of the turn taking, we have 5-minute turns. It can be more. You can make 10-minute turns depending on the situation. Or you can even do away with all the turns sometimes. Yeah, so there's different approaches you can take.
So I heard you say there's 5-minute, 10-minute turns that you could take instead of just like the 3-minute turn or something like this. And you can also take you can do away with the turns, I guess, is what you can do.
Yeah. And the 3-minute turns is just because we're practicing here. That's very short. It's just because this is practice time. So that's why the turns are so short.
So this is just practice time, and that's why the turns are very short for everybody. Yeah.
And the importance of the timekeeping is that so one person doesn't dominate, so that because in typical conversations, somebody will go on for half an hour. They would not stop, and then everybody thinking, well, when is my turn to speak? And they just keep talking and talking. So that's very common somebody dominates the conversation. So we do the turn taking for fairness. So we want to create a mutually empathic, that everyone gets time to speak, everyone gets time to be heard. So, so that's the reason we do it, to have that fairness of time.
Yeah, I'm hearing you say that some people are conversation hogs and they like to just take it all for themselves, basically. And this is like something that pretty well everybody is guilty of. Like, not everybody's guilty of, but some people are extremely guilty of. And this kind of format eliminates that, where everybody gets a fair chance to speak, and that's important.
Yeah. and everyone gets not just a fair chance to speak, but the fair chance of being heard, right? It's like feeling heard and understood. And that's why we also have 4 people, usually, 4 people to a circle. It's so you have a lot of time to be heard, a lot of time to listen. So it's, it's a practice. And what I find is that if you do the circle for, like in my family, we've done the circle for like 4.5 hours. Oh, is it my time? Oh,
Yeah, but you can finish that.
oh, okay. Yeah, so I've done it 4.5 hours. And then, after 3 hours, we didn't have timekeeping anymore because it was sort of the mindset was sort of embedded. So yeah, there's a lot to learn about the circle and all the reasons for everything. Yeah.
So I heard you say there's a bit of a dynamic that evolves after you've been in a circle for quite a while. You said you had 4 hours circles before, but at about 3 hours, everybody kind of did away with the timekeeping because everybody was just on pace, I guess, for the circle.
Yeah. I feel fully heard. Thanks.
So it's my turn to speak, I guess. So I will choose a listener. I'm going to choose Edwin. Actually, can I go back this way?
You can, but maybe choose Lala because I just got to take a bio break. I'm going to just.
Yeah, I'll choose Lala. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go that route. So right now, like I said, what am I going to say? I don't even know what I'm going to say right now. I'm not even in the mood to speak. I'm kind of, oh, Edwin's off the map. Yeah. How do I say this? Yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive about certain, I don't make friends very easily in my world because I don't trust people very easily. And I think the Empathy Circle is like a really good platform for like safe, open communication.
You find the Empathy Circle to be a safe environment to have honest and open communication, even though you find in your personal life it's hard to trust others openly.
Yeah, and and I mean, even up until now, well, about up until now, like I've kind of always felt like it's like the Empathy Circles should they're inclusive of everyone, and I really like that. And that's that part I like about it.
You enjoy Empathy Circles, and because you find the structure of the Empathy Circle is inclusive of everyone, so you appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes, sort of. Yeah. So that's once again, like I've kind of noticed that there's kind of like a structure to this where people kind of like get a fair chance to share, and it doesn't get over. I haven't found that it's gotten overrun by anybody that shouldn't be here, which has been good. Yeah.
You find the structure of the Empathy Circle gives a fairness to there's a fairness to the structure of how everyone can share and participate in the Empathy Circle.
Yeah, exactly. Aside from that, I mean, I think that's really that's about all I've got for right now. So yeah.
Okay. You feel fully heard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Because we're a little bit short on time, would it be okay if we jump straight into the feedback portion for Harini so that we have also a little bit time for a bio break for everyone? I know I didn't, kind of talk about that earlier on, but I think it'll be good before we move on to the last round of facilitating the Empathy Circle, where Sunil, you'll be leading. So wrapping this round up, Harini, how do you feel as the facilitator?
I feel good, but I noticed that I'm watching time and everything, so I'm unable to pay full attention to everyone. When I'm not facilitating, I'm listening to everyone, like I'm able to, maintain, I have interest, but now I want to listen, but at the same time I'm like, oh, I don't want to, lose track of time and everything. So I'm finding it hard to pay attention to everything that's going on.
Yeah, definitely. It's difficult to stay focused when there's so many things that you have to do. You're juggling a lot of responsibilities as the facilitator. So I feel empathetic towards what you just expressed. Any comments, any feedback from the participants in this round? Dustin, do you have anything to share you wanted to share with Harini?
I think you did an excellent job, Harini. I think you kept time very, and you also kind of like jumped up there and kind of said something when time was running short, which was good. And yeah, I felt like your introduction and everything was good as well. I think you did a good job. And I also just want to make a quick comment about the fact that I like that you're trying to run this with your family. There's not enough people doing that, so good job.
Great. So Neil, do you have any feedback, any comments for how Harini facilitated the last round?
It was nice. That's all. That's nice.
Okay. All right, great. Edwin, do you have any feedback?
Yeah, like Dustin, you explained a bit about why you were doing this, and I think that is really, it hasn't been part of the introductions in general, but I think it should be part of it because it really gives sense of meaning and the importance. So I think that's really a good addition. The instructions seemed quite clear. It's like we do this, you do this. There's the roles. You had the roles, and then the facilitation, timekeeping. Yeah, it was all, everything flowed, I thought flowed well. I'm just curious, do you have like the handout, or what are you using to present from? Are you just doing it from memory, or do you have a checklist, or how did you do that?
I don't have anything, just from memory.
I just from your memory, okay.
That's really good. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any feedback. I just wanted to say that the introduction was, again, very clear, very concise. You clearly explained what each of the participants needed to do in the empathy circle. And you did a great job keeping time and also like giving people prompts on, what you should do or what time it is, and maybe moving on to the next topic or the next speaker and listener. So I thought you did a really good job. That was great.
I do have a question for everyone, if I could ask that, Lala. Is the first time we Dustin shared his how-to, and then we had a break and we got a debrief, and then we did the circle. This time you did the full thing without the pause. And how do you feel about those two different approaches? Because there was a little bit of difference in, how some of the trainers, the approach that I kind of like, you do the full circle and then get a debrief at the end versus, getting a feedback, two feedbacks. So I'm just curious, like Dustin, I wonder if you could just give how did that seem to you?
It seemed fine. I seem to have no problem basically dealing with the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. And Harini, did you feel better just doing the whole thing versus would you have liked feedback like after the how-to?
After the how-to, I was looking forward to the debrief for feedback, but we went on to the session straight away. But now I feel like this was better for me because it was seamless. There was a flow to this, and it continued without any interruption or without deviating. So I find this better than having a debrief right after the introduction.
Well, thank you for that. Okay.
Okay. It's 2:30 Eastern p.m. because I'm in Philadelphia. Let's take a, I'm gonna say like a 4-minute bio break. Is that okay with everyone? And then we'll come back together. And then Sunil, you will be the training facilitator for the next portion. So I'll see everyone in 4 minutes. All right, I'm back for now.
So what was your take on that question that I asked?
Oh, Edwin, you just muted yourself actually.
It turned
Oh,
on.
sorry.
How did you feel about that question that I had for them with the approach? You know, 2 feedbacks or just one full thing and then feedback at the end?
I think one full feedback would be good. I personally prefer one full feedback, even though I understand there are 2 parts to it. One is that you need to be able to give clear instructions and explain the purpose and how to participate the empathy circle. And then the second part is actually practicing facilitating the empathy circle. So there are 2 parts and 2 different learning objectives. But personally, I do agree with Harini. There is definitely a flow by completing the entire thing. And then when it comes to feedback, even though it's less immediate, there is probably more feedback from everyone. But
thanks.
still either work. I mean, it depends on the learner. All right, thanks for coming back, everybody. Sunil, now it's your turn to be facilitating a mini empathy circle. And because you came a little bit later into the meeting room, I just want to quickly share with you what you will be doing. So give me 1 second. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Are you muted, Sunil?
Hello. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So this is exactly what Dustin and Harini did earlier. Basically, as the facilitator of the mini empathy circle, you're going to give an introduction to the empathy circle, and then you're also going to give everyone instructions on how to partake in the empathy circle. And then you will actually be facilitating the empathy circle. So keeping time, and also you're going to be the very first listener to demonstrate how to do the active listening portion. And then at the end, we'll do a debrief and give you feedback. So I'll stop sharing for now and I'll hand it over to you. So feel free to get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Empathy Circle session. We're lucky here to be hearing each other. We'll be hearing each other today, and we will have 3 minutes to hear from us. And about hearing, everyone will not be speaking, and everyone will not be replying what they listen. Rather, we'll have a reflective listener and a speaker, and other listeners will be listening silently. So, for example, I can show you an example. And anyone here want to be my reflective listener?
Sorry, Sunil, are you asking for someone to be your active listener, or are you asking for a volunteer to be the first speaker?
Oh, yeah, for a listener, actually.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking for a listener.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify, maybe I wasn't clear in the instruction. As the facilitator, when you're facilitating the mini empathy circle, you will actually be the first active listener. So this way you can demonstrate for others how to do the active listening and reflection. So I think you will actually be asking for someone to volunteer to be the first speaker so you can reflect back to them.
Okay, sorry, and thank you for the clarification, Lala. I welcome you to express yourself so that you feel heard. Anyone would like to express themselves or want to speak to me, and I will try that if I can feel how you are feeling.
Harini volunteered. I saw the hand go up before. Maybe because I don't know if you're seeing everyone. If you're on a cell phone, you probably don't see everyone.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to speak first. So I have, after the bio break, I was just like, I'm feeling aches and pains here and there in my body. I'm just so tired, and yeah, I'm just wondering what to speak about now.
Yeah, Harini, after Axel says that she is willing to speak first, and she is very tired, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am tired. So, I said I have, like in the introduction, I have a baby, and I think he's going through some growth spurt. So he's cranky and he wakes up multiple times at night. But he's 14 months old, and I haven't had a full night's sleep in 14 months. So I don't know when am I ever going to get to sleep fully. I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to that day, to that night.
Harini is so much tired. She is having a 14-month-old baby, and you are not getting enough sleep since last 14 months. And you are just imagining when will you get proper sleep?
Yeah, and sometimes I just don't want to do anything with the time that I have. Like even choosing to do this empathy circle facilitator training, it is at a cost for me. But I do. I really want to do it. I do see value in it, and I feel like I recently found about empathy circle, and I feel like I found it for a reason, and this has come to me for a reason, that too at this time, and so I have to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, you had so many things, and you wanted to be in Empathy Circle, and it's been a long time. You wanted to do that one, and you're finally doing it. And yeah, actually, I have to break with the time. And now, is there someone who wants to listen to me? Isn't it? Did I make the mistake?
I will.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Actually, I mean, it seems quite hard to make a session happen when we were just speaking to others in other session. It was really easy, and when it comes to self-soldier, it's quite kind of different thing, you know. Like I just feels like is it that loop and like I was trying to look at time and trying to listen at Harini, and I was just trying not to lose the focus from Harini, and I was back in my time. It seems quite different.
Yeah, so it's different being a facilitator because you have to keep the time, you have to reflect back. So it sounds like it's a lot to do. It's a little challenge.
Yeah, but again, I feel that it was first time, and if we happen to get through it, and if we do it more repetitively, I think I missed. I will settle down, obviously. I'll do that one.
Yeah, so you realize this is the first time it's, you know, you're learning and you'll settle down with more practice.
Yeah, eventually we have to learn, and we will be learning all the time.
Yeah, so it's a learning process. We have to learn. You have to just keep doing it to learn.
And now I'm not getting the topic to speak, and they still phone. That's sad. Actually, when it is someone else's session, I would be speaking so much, and these 3 minutes are so much more now for me to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were talking to someone else, you would just keep talking. But here, even 3 minutes, you don't know what to say for your 3 minutes. Is that it?
Yeah. Now, I mean, if you would like to speak.
Oh, you're complete? You're
Yes,
done?
I'm done.
Okay,
Yeah.
you feel fully heard.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Then speak to Lala. Yeah, it is a lot to begin with. It's nice when you're in an empathy circle, somebody else is facilitating, you can just talk and listen and not think about anything else. Have no responsibility, then just, it's a nice feeling, yeah.
When you're participating in the empathy circle, it's very nice because the responsibilities of facilitating and keeping time and all those things are done by someone else. So you can really enjoy just participating and enjoy being in the empathy circle.
And so having the responsibility to facilitate is a lot of extra work. You can't be as free because you have to keep watching and everything. So it does create a little bit of stress and tension.
It's harder for the facilitators because there are more responsibilities and there are more distractions. So it's not as easy to participate or purely enjoy the empathy circle because there's added tension and stress.
Yeah, especially if there's like conflict and stuff. then it really is like, oh, I got to keep all this stuff going. That adds to the challenge. But yeah, but it's good. It's good to learn that. And the more you do it, the better you get. Like anything, I think, like Sunil was saying, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it.
Yeah, so there are other challenges, outside of just keeping time. What if there are conflicts and tension in the empathy circle? The facilitator would have to learn how to manage those challenges as well. But with more experience and more practice, it becomes easier.
And also, if everyone in the circle already knows how to do the practice and has done it several times or more, then there's almost nothing to do as the facilitator. You just keep time, and it's really quite easy if everyone knows it. The challenge is for trying to show new people how to do it. That's where your real challenge is going to come in. But once, like in your family, everybody in the family has done it, and they've done it a few times, there's really hardly anything to do as the facilitator.
So for the facilitator, it is more challenging to facilitate an empathy circle for people who are not familiar with it or have not participated before. There is a lot more work, involvement. But once everyone is more experienced, you get more experienced participants, your job becomes much easier. You can just keep time.
Yeah. And then also it becomes everyone's responsibility to hold the circle. So it's like it's not all on you because everybody knows how to do it. Then everybody kind of holds it together.
So the participants will take that responsibility off of the facilitator because they will know how to hold the empathy circle together, what they need to do, and the facilitator doesn't have to be responsible for as many things.
Yeah, I feel fully heard, and that was my time. So yeah.
You feel fully heard. That's great. Sunil, do I still have time to
we're already done with 9 more minutes. So but if you'd like to go for some minutes, then you can go. I think 1 minute.
Okay. All right. So Dustin, do you mind being my listener for maybe the next 2 minutes?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I agree with I think everything that Edwin and Harini and Sunil, everyone shared basically today about facilitating. It is a lot of responsibilities, and it does take away from your enjoyment of the empathy circle because there are added stress to the responsibilities of being a facilitator.
Yeah, you're saying that for the empathy circle that there's added stressors when you are the facilitator. It's yourself, so you gotta keep track of stuff is what you gotta do. Yeah.
But I think that's also important because without a solid structure and without a skilled facilitator, the participants won't be able to experience, the participants won't be able to have a very good first time experience of the empathy circle. So those responsibilities, while challenging, they're very important.
So you're saying that the facilitator, I'm sorry, I've got cars going by outside and it's always distracting me. So I'm trying my best. It's like I'm almost having 2 conversations at once. But anyways, there's, as I was saying, yeah, there's kind of like the empathy circle facilitator can become bogged down basically by the process. I'm sorry that I'm going to have to get you to repeat that just because
Yeah, no worries. So I was thinking even though it's difficult to be a facilitator, the role itself is very important because the facilitator ensures a good experience for the participants who are new to the empathy circle. So, you know, they're kind of the ones who upholds the quality of the empathy circle.
Yeah, so the facilitator is the one that upholds the quality of the empathy circle. So there's always it's a bit of a challenge being an empathy circle facilitator.
Yes, yeah. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was nice circle with you all. We had a very nice talking about facilitators' responsibilities and facilitators' roles in an empathic circle conversation. And actually, we had very short time and to express ourselves. But what I realized is when we try to hear when someone is speaking, then we can easily get connected as a chain and just keep adding to the topic. That was really nice talking to you. Thank you.
And thank you for facilitating, Sunil. So we have about 9 minutes left. Does anyone have any feedback or any comments for Sunil?
Yes, I'll go. Yeah, I did notice you were keeping time, so I was doing the time too to check up on you. You kept the time, so good job on the time. Yeah, it's the first time is a little anxious. You know, it's a little. Did you have a list, a checklist or anything, or you're just doing it from memory? The how-to. Just wondering.
I just did that one by seeing Dustin and Harini doing that.
Oh, okay. It's good to have a checklist. I'll just say that for everyone, that you can have a checklist and there is a page and then you can just make sure you hit all the points. So that can kind of help too. And then you can also send the how-to everyone if they're new people. If it's in person, I give everyone a copy and then I read through so they have a copy with them. So those are just some sort of tips to make it, you know, to be able to tick off all the points, but otherwise everything I thought went well, you know, so yeah, thank you for facilitating that.
Thank you.
Any other comments, feedback? Yeah, Harini.
It was good. He did a good job, but just that I didn't get to say if I was fully heard. I didn't realize what was happening. I felt like suddenly Edwin started speaking and I was like, oh, my time is done. I didn't realize that. So you know, maybe if we like if I have been told that asked if I had been fully heard or it would have been better. Yeah. That's it. Otherwise, great. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that point too. That's a good point. It was a little bit rough. It was not clear that you'd been fully heard and a sense of dissatisfaction. Oh, what's happening? So it was a little confusion. It's always good. Do you feel fully heard? And then you go on to the next person and then they feel respected. Yeah.
I did feel fully heard, but just that I didn't know that the switch was already happening and I didn't get a chance to say that. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dustin, do you have any comments, anything to share?
Yeah, I thought for Sunil's first time at trying the Empathy Circle Facilitator after kind of a rocky start of all of this, I think you did a better job than I was expecting. No offense to you, but I was surprised. You did a better job than I expected. And I actually enjoyed watching that. So that was good. That's really all I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, sounds good. And thanks everyone for sharing. And we have a little bit more time, about 5 minutes. So does anyone want to kind of just comment on the overall experience, what you're thinking, how you're feeling after this second session? We're doing a bit of a group debrief. All right, Harini, I see your hand up.
I feel like my hand is going up a lot today.
No, that's good. That's good.
Just what I was saying during one of the speaking sessions about the flow, like what if, and Edwin mentioned about conflicts arising, and what if different people are speaking different things, and there is some, there is some a difference of opinion, or not even a difference of opinion, just a difference in energy, there's like people are not able to relate to one another. I don't know if they have to. I think it's okay if they don't relate to, as long as they feel heard. But what if, that's the thing, what if they're speaking so many different things, and what happens then?
Edwin?
Yeah. So one thing, there is a commonality. The commonality is always empathy, right? They can be talking about all kinds of different things, but you do have a common experience of empathic listening. So that does bring everyone together. And it also gives everyone freedom to talk about what's alive for them. Because if you have the topic and then people are thinking, they're talking on the topic, but they're thinking other things, there's a disconnect. So by saying, talk about what's alive for you, that you bring everybody's truth together. And after time, maybe it takes an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. It starts synchronizing. It does get more harmonious too. But you don't have to have harmony. We have empathy, and the empathy is the common experience. Yeah, at least that's my view on it.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know, Harini, if you're experiencing this. I definitely am, because we were in the empathy circle together last time. I enjoy it actually less this time, because I am sort of doing a little bit more facilitation. There's more added responsibility. So I feel like even when I'm sharing, my focus is not totally on the participation portion, but really more so managing. But as I mentioned earlier, I also see that the facilitator role is extremely important, because we had Timothy facilitating the empathy circle last time. That's why we were able to have such a great experience. So I got to see from the participant perspective, how enjoyable that is. But that is not possible unless there is a very skilled facilitator. So I feel much more stressed in today's session. It wasn't as relaxing as last time. I don't know if you feel the same. Dustin, I don't know if you feel the same. This being second session. Sunil, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's quite not that easy as I used to be participating in the session. It's really different. And something keeps pushing you, like you have a feeling that you have to make the circle to move, and you don't remember, like you yourself are moving. It's quite, yeah, I already told that one, like it's quite different experience.
And yeah, Lara, I totally get you. I feel the same way. I feel like I enjoyed last week's empathy circle more, and I even felt like nourished. I felt much better as when I was leaving. And today it's been more of like doing working, like facilitating, making sure you're doing things right. And yeah, I totally get what he said. But as Edwin said, I think with practice we'll be able to just relax into it and handle it in a much better way, I guess.
Yeah, I'd love to get to a point where I am the facilitator, but also just sitting there enjoying everyone's energy. I'm not quite there yet.
I just comment. So thank you, Lala, for leading this, because there's different levels of facilitation, right? Everyone is facilitating little empathy circles. Lala is facilitating the facilitation of this circle. I'm kind of facilitating, keeping an eye on all the different groups. I have all different groups here. So there's these levels of facilitation, and it takes some attention. I thought, Lala, that you did really well. You're very clear. I love your little chart, tables, you're showing. I think something we should kind of incorporate, more, having like slideshows and that explain what we're doing, so you have a visual representation. So I really appreciate, everything that you're bringing to the facilitation, Lala. So
Yeah.
thank you for your part.
Are we in the main room?
We're in the main room, and everybody will be joining us in about 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And again, next week we'll do it again. So you just keep practicing, keep practicing. It's a little awkward to begin with, but yeah, you just get better with time. It gets easier, feel more confident, more relaxed.
So from now on, it's almost a treat if we get to just be the participant.
Right. Now you're taking on responsibilities. So.
Yeah. And it's hard to remember. There are so many things like checkpoints and little things that you have to remember while reacting to some of the things that are just happening. Okay, everyone's coming back.
Okay. So B, you're up, you're doing this section. Yep.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So now we've got about 25 minutes to do a group debrief. So each of us can take about a minute or so to share our experience and insights of today. So we've got 2 questions, which I'm going to throw in the chat here. We are going to each talk about how was our experience and learning today, and what strengths did you notice about yourself, and in what area do you see potential challenges. So I'm just going to call on people so that we move more quickly, and I'll remind you at the end of the minute when your turn is up. So let's go first to Elizabeth.
Hello. So my experience was really good. It was really nice to get to know people in the small group. I really like that opportunity. And strengths about myself, I think I'm pretty good. Like, I'm getting more comfortable with the introductions and the process because I've done the training before. So it's feeling much more comfortable. A potential challenge is that speaking in front of a group of people is really hard for me. And I sort of get lost inside my head and then forget what I was trying to say. So that can be really difficult sometimes. But yeah, everybody was really great.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And then Sunil, if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, for me, it was a nice experience. It was first time being in an online empathy circle. And it was quite, and doing it by yourself is like totally different thing. That's what I felt, and it was really different. And thanks to my colleagues in the group, they were really supportive and they were helping. Yeah, actually, I learned that I can take the session, like I can keep up the session, like if I didn't give up, then I can do it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Francesca, you're up.
Hey, yeah, I really enjoyed the whole training. I really enjoyed the experience very much. It's kind of new for me. I've never done that before, and I kind of dove in a new area for myself. But for me, I guess my strength was being willing to not do it perfect and sort of kind of accept where I was at, knowing that I was going to flounder here and there. It kind of made it more playful and more fun for me. My challenge is, well, I mean, I think my challenge is just articulating it in an organized fashion so that it flows. But I think that comes through experience and just preparation. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I feel that there's definitely a learning curve. Let's see. Next, Elisa, can you please share with us?
I always learn something different when I come. So that feels good, even though you see the same faces and we're gonna see the same faces for quite a few weeks. So like I feel like you can always learn something from people. But it's also nice to hear of other people's input and how we can improve of becoming an empathy facilitator trainers, training those people.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. And Julia, if you'd like to go.
Yes. So the experience was positive for sure. I really liked the fact that we get to do these mini exercises, and like in breakout rooms, we have a lot of time for questions, so we can have all our doubts solved more or less from like people that are a lot more experienced. And I also like a lot of the fact that there's also this process of giving and receiving feedback. I think it's awesome, and you learn a lot from it. Yeah, about my strengths and challenges, I see that I have major issue maybe with multitasking, so timing and I think especially speaking at the same time, probably. But yeah, I think that practice makes the master, and I mean just with some commitment and effort, it's going to be better with time, and especially with all the feedback and patience that people in the circles and the facilitators have, is going to be smooth. So
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody.
Absolutely. Very nice. And Lisa, if you would like to share.
Yeah, so I think the experience was good. Having the circle last night really helped me to see some of the areas where I stumble, and so it's a little bit easier to do it today. So I would say my strengths was kind of noticing where I kind of went faster, slower, and then that way I could kind of adjust accordingly. And some potential challenges, I think, is wanting to follow the rules, but not necessarily knowing what the rules are sometimes. Maybe some challenges.
All right, thank you. And Justine, if you would like to go.
Yes, it was good. I realized also that it was like a lot at once, kind of like Julia said, the timing and at the same time speaking, it was a bit hard. And but yeah, it was good to train it. Like I think that's what I need, just to do and do and do. I think the good thing that I had, it was to surprisingly have kind of the structure well in my head, that I could transmit it being present, but then I get a bit nervous. And so I think, yeah, training will help me to be more kind of confident and know that it's fine, and to also give a bit more time, I think, to myself to kind of prepare the timing and just like, yeah, give more time, I think, for me.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Dustin, you're up.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a good time actually with this empathy circle. I'm very distracted today. It's just one of those days where I wish I had a little bit more a little bit more to give, I guess, for the empathy circle to really kind of like contribute in a meaningful way. I usually do, but just today it's been a lot of like I'm easily distracted today, I think is what it is. So aside from that, it was good to see certain people like kind of give an effort anyway, and even though they were struggling in the beginning. And I also found that like it's still good practice no matter what. It's still good practice. So I enjoyed coming to the Empathy Circle today. So that's it.
Absolutely. More practice time is always good. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Harini, would you like to go?
Yeah, that's right, Harini. Yeah, it was a good experience. I found myself comfortable facilitating and speaking. I didn't have much inhibitions, and I felt good about that. But I noticed that I was a lot distracted. It was difficult to pay attention to everyone and enjoy, taking everything while keeping time and making sure everything is going right. So again, as others have pointed out, with practice and with experience, I guess we'll be able to ease into it. I'll be able to ease into it, and it was really good watching others facilitate. I did learn from Dustin and Sunil. I did get ideas from them, so that was good. Yeah, so that's my experience.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Timothy, on to you.
Yeah, just as a trainer, I'm really once again reminded how grateful I am at this basic truth of doing more grows us. Being in the circle and facilitating it and diving in and realizing what we know, what we don't know, doing is learning. So I want to thank Bill for that and for being a real champion, a designer of that training. Doing. So I'm just really grateful for that, and that each of you showed up. In our small group, some of you weren't prepared. It's your first time this or that, or you're on the spot, and you realize what you could do. And so I saw that happen. And so I'm inspired. Each of you showing up, giving your lifetime, your life force, and your life energy to create more of a space and possibility for empathy in your world. And that's in my world too. So I'm really grateful for that, for showing up to practice this process of empathy. So thank you. I'm grateful.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. Gratefulness, inspired. I love it. Bill, if you'd like to share.
Sure, I just like to reinforce what Timothy said. I'm really appreciative of everybody here and willing to go through difficult, learning, kind of uncomfortable, but it really buoys me up. It gives me hope. And again, what I say is rather than signing on to something where you have to go and hit the other people over the head and then paradise will occur, we created a mini culture of empathy. And right here, that's what it is. And all we have to do is spread it. So thank each and every one of you for your efforts in this area. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
I love it. Okay. Lala, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, what Bill and Timothy said really resonated with me because I thought it was a more challenging session this time round because there are more responsibilities. So instead of being able to enjoy the empathy circle and just purely participating and sharing and listening and doing, all those lovely things that you can do as a participant, there's more responsibilities when it comes to facilitating the session because you want to make sure all the participants are having a good experience. So that was actually outside of my comfort zone because I have to learn something new and put it to practice immediately. But what was great is that I think empathy facilitates learning because it was a fail-safe environment for me. Everyone in the group today was very supportive of how I, facilitated. I got great feedback as well, and everyone was giving each other great feedback. So I think having empathy instilled in the learning process also helped me to not be afraid to put myself out there to practice and to, force myself to grow as a facilitator. So I really appreciate that.
Great. I love it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say it's been like a rough couple of weeks for me. So I was super out of it today. And everyone in my group was very supportive, very understanding. Bill backed me up when I just completely like brain fogged and messed up what I was supposed to be doing. So just a lot of gratitude from me today. Everyone was super cool and I really appreciate it. Edwin, if you'd like to offer your feedback from
Yeah,
today.
thanks, B. So this is a very experiential practice. It's like exercising. It's not a lecture like, hey, here's this lecture. It's like getting those weights, lifting the weights, and it's painful. You know, there's something, you're learning something new. You're stretching those empathy muscles and those facilitation muscles, but it does lead to stronger, you know, deeper empathy in the, you know, in the long run, and better facilitation skills. And a lot of people who have, you get a bit of a challenge, and then it's actually, when you actually do the circle, it's like, oh, I'm pretty comfortable with this because I've already had all these challenges. So you feel kind of more prepared. And there are a lot of things, tiredness, you know, life stresses, the newness, challenging people, you know, all these things are going to sort of affect your facilitation. So, you know, just to be aware of it and just step up to the plate, using the baseball metaphor. And I see that everyone is learning from everyone else, and it's felt very supportive. And for me, there's a large part is to make it easier, that we do want to make the training as easy as possible. Like, you know, Lala added the slideshow, the little slide. And I think those sort of suggestions like that, if you have anything, you know, that would suggestion to make this section a little bit easier, for you, because we really want to make it an easy, as supportive and experience as possible. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks, B.
All right, great feedback, everybody. I really appreciate all the different insights. So I'm going to pass it on to Lala for closing.
Great. So now I wanted to ask if any of the trainers have any final comments, food for thought. So I'll start with Tim. Do you have any final thoughts you wanted to share with everyone?
No, I don't. Thanks for showing up, for doing this. I'm really celebrating that. Thank you, Edwin, for doing all the background work, and particularly you, B, for hanging in there, and Lala as well for showing up and learning how to lead this particular training. Just really grateful. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. Bill, what about you?
Not much. Just want to let you know that this training is designed so that you can go at your own pace. There will be some challenges next week, but if you don't want challenges, you don't have to have it. You can take the training a couple of times. So I just wanted you to feel comfortable about really kind of your own learning progression, and what feels comfortable for you is okay with us. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Bill. Edwin.
Yeah, I think Bill and Timothy said it all, so thanks for that.
All right, great. So let's take a look at what's coming up for next week. So next week will be session 3, and we will practice facilitation again. But next week, there's going to be a little bit of change. Like Bill said, you can actually decide if you want to have some challenges from your trainer while you're doing while you're facilitating the mini empathy circles. And again, like Bill said, this course is designed for you to go at your own pace. So you get to choose how much challenge you want to experience while you're facilitating, and you can talk to your trainer about it once you are in the breakout room. Or if you don't feel comfortable, you can pick no challenge. On the other hand, you can pick, you know, just the most difficult challenges depending on how comfortable you are. Your trainer will not give you more challenges than you want. So definitely be vocal about it. And for assignments this week. We'll send out an email to you, and there will be a reminder to fill out today's session's feedback. So please take a moment to look at the feedback survey and take 5 to 10 minutes, fill it out. It's going to really help us, you know, integrate some of those feedback and add those to the instructional design portion of the Empathy Circle training. And there's going to be an empathy buddy call again. So you will be paired with a new empathy buddy, and schedule that call and have that conversation. And if you have time, try to facilitate one empathy circle with family or friends, more if you can, but definitely try to facilitate one so you get some of that practice in before you get to our third session. All right, so before we end, there are two more things on the agenda. Can we all post one feeling that you're having as a result of being here today? So just add whatever you're feeling in the chat. It could be a word, a short phrase, whatever you're feeling at the moment. All right, see, grateful, grateful, gratitude, connected. It's great, energized, excitement. It's great. All right, creative. Awesome, drained in a good way. I feel that. Tired, yep. Definitely a little nervous. Yeah. It's great to see all these feedback, everyone being very honest with our feelings. So it's really, really nice to recognize what we're feeling at the moment. All right, so before we close out for today, again, we'll take a photo together. So Edwin, are you taking the screenshot? I don't know
Yeah,
who's taking
it's video. It's videotaped, so we get
Let's get a chest hand.
Sunil. Yay, there we go again. We got Timothy, Mirror Timothy. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
So we'll see you next week. And if you're a trainee or trainer, if you stay back for a little debrief. Thanks.
Grateful, sleepy. That's awesome. All right, bye, everyone.
Okay.
Have a great
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.